You're probably already tracking one of the most powerful predictors of how long you'll live. It's right there on your smartwatch, and you're probably not paying attention to it. This is your resting heart rate. Now, most people, including most doctors, never think about it, and I must admit I didn't either. But here's what the research shows. One large study calculated that every beat per minute above 70 costs roughly 4 months of life expectancy. So, someone with a resting heart rate of 80 will on average die 3 years earlier than someone with a resting heart rate of 70. It is arguably the most underappreciated health metric we have. So in this video, I'm going to show you what your resting heart rate actually reveals about your health and longevity. I'll explain what's happening inside your body, why a fit heart beats slower, and what you can do to lower your resting heart rate and improve your health and longevity prospects. I'm Dr. Owen Colgan. I've been a doctor in the NHS for nearly 25 years. Medical school taught me nothing about longevity, so I do my own investigating. Let's get into it. So let me show you the evidence from just a few of the high-quality studies from around the world. A meta-analysis in the Canadian Medical Association Journal pooled 46 separate studies over 1.2 million participants, and the finding each 10 beat per minute increase in resting heart rate was associated with 9% higher mortality risk, and this was consistent across all the studies. The Copenhagen City Heart Study followed over 16,000 people for 33 years. Men with resting heart rates above 80 lived roughly 4 to 5 years less than those below 65, with women showing a similar pattern. And UK Biobank, 500,000 participants, found that resting heart rate was actually a stronger predictor of mortality than blood pressure and physical activity. So what does this actually mean for you? Well, most doctors are satisfied if your heart rate falls anywhere between 60 and 100. And to be fair, the reading they take when you've just walked into the doctor's office, possibly a bit anxious, isn't a true resting heart rate. It's a snapshot and probably higher than your real baseline. But regardless, anywhere within that 60 to 100 range is considered normal and left at that. But the science tells a very different story. Someone with a resting heart rate of 99, still technically normal, has around a 40 to 70% higher mortality risk than someone whose resting heart rate is 60. They are very much not the same. Now, the optimal range for most people is around 55 to 65. There are caveats, of course, and I'll cover some of those later. But why does it matter so much? What is resting heart rate actually telling us about the body? So put simply, a fit heart beats slower than an unfit heart. And here's how it works. At rest, your heart has one job: pump around 5 litres of blood around your body every minute. And that number doesn't change much whether you're fit or unfit. At rest, the demand is the same. But here's what does change: how much blood your heart pumps with each beat. An unfit heart pumps around 70 millilitres per beat, so to move 5 litres per minute, it needs to beat around 71 times in that minute. 71 multiplied by 70 equals around 5 litres. Now, a fit heart, which has literally grown larger and stronger through training, pumps about 100 millimetres per beat. So it can beat less often to send the same volume of blood around the body. In this example, it needs to beat 50 times per minute to send 5 litres around the body. Same output, fewer beats. And there's a second piece. Your nervous system has what's essentially a brake pedal for your heart. It's called the vagus nerve. And when you're fit, that brake is stronger. It keeps your heart rate lower when you don't need speed. So a low resting heart rate tells you two things: your heart is mechanically efficient and your nervous system is well regulated. If low heart rate is so beneficial, why not just lower it with medication? Well, researchers have tested exactly this using a pure heart rate lowering drug, and over 36,000 patients were tested across multiple trials. And the result: no mortality benefit, and in one trial, patients actually did worse. But this kind of makes sense. Most people's hearts are beating at the speed they need to beat at to achieve 5 litres per minute in a rested state. The drug slowed the heart but did not increase the amount of blood pumped per beat. And the net result is less blood is pumped around the body per minute, less than what the body needs. So no wonder some people did worse. You can't cheat the system, but you can improve it. So how to lower your heart rate the right way? The most effective intervention by far is aerobic exercise. A meta-analysis of 191 studies found regular aerobic exercise reduces resting heart rate by 5 to 9 beats per minute over 8 to 30 weeks. Nothing else really comes close. Now, you don't need to become a marathon runner. Walking at a decent pace counts, cycling counts. In fact, anything that gets you a little bit out of breath counts. The key is doing it consistently, week after week. That's what makes your heart grow stronger and more efficient. If you do one thing after watching this video, make it regular aerobic activity. That's the foundation, but there are other things that amplify this. Weight loss. Losing 10% of body weight reduces resting heart rate by roughly 6 to 9 beats per minute if you're carrying extra weight. And exercise helps with weight loss, so these compound. Stress reduction in yoga controlled trials show 5 to 7 beats per minute reductions, likely because they strengthen that vagal brake we talked about. And cutting alcohol. 2 drinks acutely raises heart rate by 5 to 6 beats per minute, and regular drinking keeps your baseline elevated. What doesn't work? Strength training alone doesn't significantly lower resting heart rate. It has many other benefits, but not this one. And interestingly, moderate caffeine has no significant effect, so you don't need to quit coffee. So the bottom line, aerobic exercise is the most effective. Changes start around 6 to 8 weeks, maximum benefit at around 30 weeks of consistent effort. This isn't a quick fix, but the changes last because you're building a genuinely stronger and more efficient heart. Before we go any further, a few important caveats. Everything I've covered applies to generally healthy adults. If you have an existing heart condition or you're on medications like beta blockers that affect your heart rate, the rules are different. Your targets are different. Talk to your doctor. And the age matters too. If you're under 60 and fit, a low resting heart rate is a good sign, even into the mid-40s. That reflects genuine cardiovascular fitness. So around 45 to 60 would be considered a good target, as long as you are feeling well and have no symptoms. But if you're over 70, the research suggests a more moderate rate, around 65 to 75, may actually be a more optimal range. And at any age, symptoms matter more than numbers. A low heart rate earned through fitness is very different from a low heart rate accompanied by dizziness, fatigue, or unexplained falls. If you're experiencing symptoms, see your doctor regardless of what your heart rate says. For most people watching this though, generally healthy adults looking to improve, here's what to do. So first, check where you are. The best way to measure your resting heart rate is first thing in the morning, before you get out of bed. That's your true resting rate. But make sure you feel relaxed when you measure it. Now, most smartwatches nowadays are really accurate and will be measuring your resting heart rate in the background and give really good trends over time. Once you know your baseline, start building your aerobic fitness. Lots of things count, like we said, including walking, swimming, dancing, cycling. The key is to get a little bit out of breath doing something you will stick to for the long term. Consistency matters more than intensity. And then track your trend over weeks and months. Don't obsess over daily fluctuations. Look at the general direction over time. And here's the key. Don't fixate on hitting a specific number. There's no magic threshold you need to reach. The goal is to optimize for you. If you're currently at 80 and you bring it down to 70, that's a meaningful improvement. If you're at 65 and you bring it down to 58, that's amazing too. Progress, not perfection. Your best version, not someone else's target. 6 months ago, my resting heart rate was 53, pretty reasonable. Today, it's 46. That's a 7-point improvement. And I did this through walking. That is my primary aerobic exercise. I get lots of steps in during the day, and most days of the week, I do short walks on a treadmill with speed and incline. Nothing fancy, nothing unpleasant, and I never run. And at the same time, I lost 16 kilograms and my metabolic age reversed by 4 years. All of this through implementing a few sustainable habits across sleep, nutrition, and exercise that I call the Vital 3. And if you're interested, there's a free guide, link in the pinned comment and description below. But the key point, sizable improvements do not require you to run marathons. Consistent, regular activity can lead to dramatic health improvements. And if you're currently not doing much aerobic activity, even 20 to 30 minutes of walking most days will start building a stronger, more efficient heart within a couple of months. So here's the bottom line: that number on your smartwatch, the one you've probably been ignoring, is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity we have. Better than blood pressure, comparable to smoking status, and it's the easiest test to measure. A low resting heart rate reflects a heart that's mechanically efficient, pumping more blood with fewer beats, and a nervous system that's well regulated. Drugs can't replicate this, but fitness can. And the most effective approach is regular aerobic exercise, and walking counts. If you want the framework I use, click the link below. Start paying attention to that number. It's telling you something important. If you found this useful, subscribe for more evidence-based longevity content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.